The city of Duskwatch was not kind to the hunted. Talia, rogue and fugitive, knew this well. She'd spent years ahead of the bounty hunters, moving from town to town, always one step ahead of the noose around her neck. But there was still a 5,000 gold piece bounty that lay on her head, wanted for desertion from the army, but the assassination of Lady Marieth Valcross, a noblewoman with far-reaching allies. That kind of bounty doesn't fade with time, it festers. And now the past was catching up. They had barely returned from Cordath's tomb when they noticed a watchful eyes in the street. Not locals, hired hunters. The bounty had resurfaced. Someone wanted or found. The adventurers needed a way out, and fast, and then the offers began. The first messenger was a courier in an officer's uniform, far too clean for Duskwatch. He slid an unsigned letter beneath the rogue's drink at a tavern. It read, "The weight of your sins grow heavy. I can make them disappear. Name the time and place." The second messenger was a child, no older than 10, who approached the Gripsay house at dawn. She carried a black coin marked with infernal runes. It read, "He waits for your answer." The rogue's hand tightened around her dagger. No name, no signature, no indication of who he was. By the third knife, they had had enough of the riddles. Valen, the wizard, cast Contact Other Plane, demanding answers. The fire in the tavern snuffed out instantly. The air grew thick and stifling, pressing down on their chests. The walls vanished, leaving an endless black void around them, stretching out forever and ever. And then the voice. "Talia!" The rogue flinched. The devil's voice was not spoken, it was felt, like claws dragging through her mind. "You are a hunted thing, a debt hanging from the gallows. I offer you a clean slate." Visions flashed before her eyes. The bounty erased, records burnt, witnesses silenced. The name Talia Evermere would vanish from every ledger, every wanted poster. "Give me the sigil, and the hunters will forget you exist. Lady Valcross's kin will turn their grief elsewhere. The army will chase ghosts." The rogue's throat was dry. She knew how devils worked. Nothing was free. She forced herself to speak. "And if I refuse?" A deep, rustling chuckle. The shadow tightened around them, coiling like spined fingers. "Then they will find you, little deserter, and I will watch as I collect what is owed." The tavern snapped back into place. The firelight flickered wildly, struggling to find the space. The offer stood. Trade the black sigil, and the bounty was gone. Refuse, and the past would come knocking. Talia exhaled, pump pounding, and for the first time in years, she was afraid. Welcome to today's video on the Barbed Devil. Firstly, we'll talk about the monster manual can tell you. So, Barbed Devils are devils said to be hoarders, greedily obsessive and obsessively greedy. They use lesser devils, like imps, to scour the plains and search for what they covet. Despite their evil alignment, the Barbed Devils don't steal what they desire. Instead, they choose to strike infernal deals in packs to claim these material treasures and souls. Barbed Devils are also known as Hamachulas in the Nine Hells in which they reside. Barbed Devils are said to bedeck their thorny hides with their most prized possessions. Barbed Devils are said to act as muscle for stronger devils, such as Pit Fiends or Ice Devils. In return, the Barbed Devil gets protection for their hoard. The type of object a Barbed Devil collects is rarely as banal as gold or gems, but instead they try to gather the plane's greatest collection of one specific thing. Next, let's talk about stats. So, Barbed Devils are medium-sized, lawful evil aligned devils. They are CR5 monsters which boast a 15 AC and 110 hit points. Their stats are well-rounded for being better than average commoner but not superhuman. Barbed Devils have resistance to cold damage and immunity to fire and poison damage. They're said to have dark vision to 120 feet, which allows them to see through magical darkness. I guess they thought True Sight was too strong for a CR5 monster, but anyway. They possess one language in Infernal, but they have telepathy to 120 feet for intimidating their enemies, but presumably for commanding their imp or bearded devil underlings. On the traits, so the Barbed Devil has a Barbed Hide ability, which deals D10 piercing to any creature grappling it or grappled by it. The Barbed Devil also possesses a feature called Diabolic Restoration, wherein if it dies outside of the Nine Hells, its body disappears and reforms somewhere in the Nine Hells. The Barbed Devil is also said to have magic resistance, granting it advantage on spell saves. Lastly, for stats, let's discuss actions. So the Barbed Devil features a multi-attack, wherein it can make either 2 melee attacks or 2 ranged attacks. In one multi-attack, the Barbed Devil makes a claw and a tail attack. The claw is 5-foot range melee attack, which grapples a large or smaller creature on a hit and deals 2d6 plus 3 piercing. The tail attack is a 10-foot range melee attack, which deals 2d10 slashing. Both melee attacks are a plus 6 to hit. The ranged option is called Hurl Flame and is a 150 feet ranged attack which deals 5d6 fire damage on a hit and sets flammable targets on fire. In the 2014 rules, the monster was also CR5 but possessed reduced damage on attacks. The Hurl Flame set fire only to objects not being worn or carried. Additionally, the monster was resistant to non-magical bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing. The biggest change is the claw attack, including a grapple, and the Barbed Hive feature now works for creatures. The Barbed Devil is grappling, not just those grappling it. There are other small tweaks, like the addition of a climb speed in the 2024 rules, but not much else to note. So let's talk about what the Monster Manual does not tell you. So Barbed Devils are said to be 7 feet tall and weigh 300 pounds. Despite being evil, their lawful alignment means they don't accept bribes from rule breakers or allow them to plea or negotiate for forgiveness. In previous editions, any creature hit by a Barbed Devil had to make a save or be frightened. They could also use some fire-themed magic such as Produce Flame or Fireball, in addition to spells like Hold Person for battlefield control. In previous editions, the Barbed Devil could summon bearded devils or Abishai. In combat, the Barbed Devil never wielded or wields weapons. Instead, they're said to use their natural claws and tails. Barbed Devils were said to be solitary and only worked in groups when compelled to by stronger devils. Along with Bone Devils, Barbed Devils made up a majority of infernal priests. It was said that Barbed Devils had glands behind their ears, which acted as a hallucinogen in small doses, and could function as a potion of illusion in larger doses. In previous editions, Barbed Devils were stronger than Bone Devils at CR 11, compared to the Bone Devils CR 9. The progression up the ranks meant that Bone Devils who demonstrated exceptional skill and loyalty could be promoted to Barbed Devils. In previous editions, the modern Diabolic Restoration wasn't instantaneous and instead happened over the course of about 100 years. Barbed Devils were classified as Lesser Devils, one rank above the least Devils, including Imps. They rose through the ranks not through combat or political maneuvering like Bone Devils, but instead through completing tasks like being the custodians of vaults or being prison guards. These roles made the Barbed Devil less politically influential in the Nine Hells compared to, say, the Erinyes, who had more direct dealings with archdevils and moral contracts. In 2nd edition, it was stated that Barbed Devils weren't ambitious enough to be promoted, and other devils who schemed and fought for promotion, like the Amnesu, were often given priority. Barbed Devils face many challenges in regards to advancement up the infernal hierarchy. This is due to a few reasons. Firstly, that they are very skilled workers as guardians and enforcers, meaning that greater devils and archdevils are hesitant to promote them for not wanting to lose a good worker. Secondly, unlike the scheming Erinyes, they lack ambition, but also manipulation skills to push for a promotion. And lastly, they rarely fight in the Blood War, meaning they don't get battlefield promotions like bearded devils. The only real way for a Barbed Devil to get promoted is by direct recognition of an archdevil, and this could take thousands of years. So in conclusion, this monster is a bit all over the place. It's described as being a hoarder who collects a certain type of object, which seems to imply isolation or even access to a demiplane or a home base, none of which are described in the book. This could have been separated, in my opinion, into two monsters. One solitary hoarder doing the bidding with mortals to acquire material objects, and the other an elite spiked soldier who guards archdevils or other demons like pit fiends. I can also take issue with the change in the infernal hierarchy in 5e. By moving the Barbed Devil down from CR 11 to CR 5, it messed with the structure by which there are clear paths for devils to progress upwards. So in previous editions, the Bone Devil advanced into the Barbed Devil, but that no longer makes sense as the Bone Devil is now stronger than the Barbed Devil. It seems to me like this is a bit too multifaceted. And as I've already stated, they could have been two monsters. If you need a weaker devil, just make a new one instead of changing the entire infernal hierarchy. The stats and mechanics of this monster in combat are cool, but if you don't think about the lore and you're just looking for a devil to fight the party around level 4, this could slot in and make for a memorable encounter. If you want a hoarder devil trying to collect something and the party has, it's perfect. But if you care about lore like me, this is just a hard monster to place in a wider world. If this devil is the only party your party will face, you can tweak it as an NPC or an adversary, but you don't want a full campaign in the Nine Hells with it. I'd up it to CR11 and just make a new monster for CR5. The stats are cool, the flavor's cool, the lore could use some work. The monster is cool, but that's because devils are cool, not because it itself is cool. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 20.